I am Nick Shell, the self-help hacker. Something that we need to recognize. This is fundamental, and maybe I should have made it much sooner in this series. But it's a matter of recognizing that the reason people don't like us, or maybe we think that they don't like us, is never about our looks. It's never about our looks. If we think people would only like me if I was more ... No, they wouldn't. They probably wouldn't notice. They may notice if you look different, but it's funny because people really don't care what you look like. If they like you for who you are, because you're a good person to them, you're a kind, helpful person that builds up other people, you know what you're bad at, you make jokes about it, you make them laugh because of the thing that you're bad at. You know what you're good at, and you spend your time and energy helping people with that thing. And maybe just the fact that you're there and present in their life, that's a lot of times what people actually like you for. I'll give you an example. And I've been sorting this out for the last week, and I may have mentioned it once in one of the other videos for the series, but a week ago, I went to the funeral of someone that I went to high school with. And I really liked this guy. We had a lot of classes together, and he was just a really funny guy, and he made math class more durable. He was always in the same math as me. And tragically, he ended his life. And he went through a lot of depression and, maybe some poor decisions along the way that led to that depression, and kind of lost everything. And then he took his own life. And it was very tragic to see that. And for those of us who went to the funeral, we were all grieving. We all just needed a hug because it was a tragedy that we loved him. We cared about him. He made our lives better. Yet the tragedy of he took his own life. So going to that funeral and reconnecting with some people that I hadn't seen since high school. I mean, I went to my 20th high school reunion last summer, but not everybody was there. And there were certain people at the funeral that I just hadn't seen since 1999 when I graduated. And it's funny because, one guy was like, "Man, you look good. It's good to see you," and all this stuff. And it's funny. I was like, it's funny that maybe some people look a lot different than when they graduate high school or whatever. But it's funny because it was like, sure, it was compliment accepted, but ultimately, it caught me off guard because I didn't think anybody was even noticing how we looked. Certain people looked a lot different. There was actually one guy, I don't even know who he was, but apparently he graduated. I didn't get a chance to ask him or talk to him just because of the nature of the flow of the conversations, but ultimately it was it was just another reinforcement that doesn't matter. People don't like each other if you really care about someone and you're genuinely liked by someone, it's not because of your looks. Who cares about your looks? In hindsight, it was a matter of we all cared about each other. We cared about this guy. We just wanted to be there to support each other. So much of life is simply showing up. Just by you being there and being present, and you better believe in an age of this, I mean, it's almost like when I see somebody doing this while I'm in the room and I'm trying to talk to them and they're doing this, it's almost like there's a filter on my eyes and it's the same as them flipping me off, or saying, "You don't exist. Everybody else in the world matters more than I'm looking at what the rest of the world is doing." So imagine, what if you're present with people? What if you don't have your phone while people are talking to you and you're actually hanging out with them and living life with them? Being present has a high value, especially now because of people being glued to their silly phones, looking at other people's boring lives, looking for validation in their own lives, looking at other people who are actually bored themselves, but putting on some kind of talent show where there's actually no talent, unless this is a talent, or this, or whatever silly thing it is, a fake talent show. So much of life is just showing up. And it's funny because at the funeral, I mean, the moment I found I was going, I rushed down there and I went immediately. But, I had a couple of people thank me for showing up. because they were closer to him than I was. They were, they were like best friends with him, whereas I knew him and I had class with him. But it's funny, people thanked me for being there. And it's like, man, if only we could have our own funeral while we were still alive, we could see all the people who'd show up to our funeral, who cared enough to drive down there and show up and mourn together and grieve together and then celebrate the good memories of people. Yeah, you can tell I'm still grieving myself. You can tell that. this video is like turning into that topic more than the actual video, which is ultimately, when you're younger and you don't know who you are yet, you erroneously think that people like you based on your looks. Oh, you're too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, not this, not that, whatever the thing is. When you think about people in your own life that you love, do you love them because of the looks? The answer is no. Comments right here.